Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love. Once again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I'm Jack Talcott, and I am truly excited for today. I really am. Blessings to all of you who stopped in, who are stopping in, who may find your way later. Blessings to all of you, and thank you for all who joined. Yes, I've had another day today. I've had another interesting day today. And today, brothers and sisters, well, we'll see where it goes. This morning as I awoke, I've mentioned before in some of these streams my morning thoughts as I'm transitioning from the sleep into the awake, returning to this body. I keep getting these thoughts and reminders to me every day, and it's been a long time. The reminder each day is be holy, right? Unity, love, that is your way. This morning, it was a different message. I couldn't quite grasp it completely, but the message I received is it's time for healing. Healing is the topic and the message for today. Seek healing. And I've got a few notes. I've got some ideas on what this means and what I want to offer. But let's start with the front. Photo from my hometown. I'm not the one who took that, though. Talcott Tuesday, man. It's something I'm learning to live with. Here, attention. It is the rarest and purest form of generosity. So sincerely, for all of you who are a part of this, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my journey. And the reality is, whether you are one of those who chooses to hate or you choose to love, your time is being spent with what you choose. And Time is this magical gift that we've been allowed to experience. Some people understand the value of time, and that's why they dictate a lot of schedules and all these timelines for you to obey. Time is a gift. So through time of our day, our conscious day, the moments we're up and moving, when we're not knocked out and resting or feeding our faces. Well, even when we are feeding our faces. Each day, time passes through our awareness. Now, whether we're aware of the time or not, doesn't matter. Pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Because if you're paying attention to things you hate, You're not going to feel great about the way you're spending your time. I used to live that way. I'm speaking from experience. So today, brothers and sisters, I do intend to open the panel. We're going to see where the day goes. I'm not quite as feisty as I was yesterday. And as a matter of fact, because of, where'd he go? Because of the experience earlier, I'm actually feeling some encouragement. I really am feeling, oh, good. I noticed I've been picking up some noise, and I do hope it's better. I don't understand what I've got, man. Technology is kind of beyond my scope so far, but I'm growing and I'm learning, and we're part of this life. Today, the topics of seek healing. Consider this simple and obvious fact. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. If you seek to reach the truth, you will find it. Now, if you stop yourself short of the truth, oh, I know enough now. I don't need to learn. I don't need to listen anymore. You become foolish, prideful, arrogant. There's a lot of foolish and prideful and arrogant people, not just on these online panels and such, throughout our society. A lot of prideful, arrogant, selfish people who think they know the truth. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth, but you must be honest about your efforts to know what is true. And what I found to be true, brothers and sisters, God, love. Love is true. Love is the way to transform the life you are living is love. In reviewing the stream yesterday, I, in reviewing the stream yesterday, I noticed my words. My frustration came out, and I spoke with foolishness. I said it shouldn't take a miracle to change someone's mind. Who am I to say what it should or shouldn't take for someone's mind to be changed, first of all, right? I think it shouldn't take a miracle for someone to change their mind, yet it's exactly what it requires. I was thinking about that more. I was wrong yesterday when I said it shouldn't take a miracle to change someone's mind. It requires a miracle. It requires the miracle of love. It requires the miracle of the want and the desire to overpower the the first belief. There must come from within a power and a desire to seek the truth beyond what is perceived. Love is a miracle. Love is the miracle that brings forth life. How well do you know love? How well do you embody love? How well do you practice love? How often do you think about love? As a man, masculine man, responsible and obedient and dutiful, I never really thought about love. And frankly, it was a shame because I know my life would have been so much different had I placed a higher priority on the love that I was allowed to experience, the love I was able to find, the love I was able to see. Had I focused more on love rather than on the worldly ways, the material solutions, the paycheck and the benefits, life insurance, health insurance, dental insurance, car insurance, house insurance, got to have insurance for the pets. You got to be prepared, don't you know? All that crap costs money, which means you got to be a slave, man. You got to be working to pay for all that insurance and just protect yourself from the calamities. This world is nuts, brothers and sisters. Don't be a part of the nuts. Don't be a part of the insane. Don't be a part of the angry. Don't be a part of the afraid. Be a part of love. Because love really is who we are and why we are here. If you want to seek the healing, there's different healings, right? We are multidimensional beings. You are, I am, all of us. We're multidimensional. There are many different aspects in which a human can be observed, and you can discern the value or the quality, the healthiness of an individual. It's not just the physical body, it's the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body is made of all and yet nothing. The healing, the healing is built within us. There is an intelligence within the body in the physical design of who we are that regenerates and renews and it battles. The body has an intelligence where health is its purpose. Health is what we are designed for. Now, that means physical health, mental health, and most importantly, emotional health. The only, the path to healing, it truly is with alignment with the divine. Because the divine is that which is pure. I've mentioned this before, a definition I enjoy, I appreciate. What is divine? It's that which overcomes the human limitations, that which overcomes the world. That is divine. There's nothing more divine than the truth. And especially when the truth is filled with love. Oh my gosh. That's actually what the Bible is all about. It's wisdom offered to us with love from those who came before us. The messages from the Bible, from history, from all of it, the underlying messages of life, it's love. Love is the commandment from Jesus, okay? For those who call yourself Christian, let's start embodying the love in this world that we want the world to know. And the world I want to know, it's not filled with battles. It's not filled with debts. It's not filled with prosecutions and punishments and oppression and all this egoic filth and nonsense. I'm trying not to be judgmental at the state of the world, but brothers and sisters, when you know, you know. And if you accept the truth, the world is corrupted. We are the solution. We are the answer our ancestors were praying for. We are the salvation that the people in war zones are praying for right now, screaming out, why isn't someone doing something? Seek healing. Healing is why I'm here. And I don't want to point out the problems or the disease because, well, we cannot ignore the problems and the disease anymore. If we keep ignoring the problems and the disease of prideful arrogance, of selfishness, of bitterness, of betrayal, if we keep enabling it, keep ignoring it, we're enabling the problems. Let's become the solution. Let's become the healing for this world. It starts with you in your life. Man, God allowed me, my life experience, God allowed me to seek to reach the truth. And when I thought learning about God was impossible. I've faced these doubts from others. It is impossible to know the totality, the wholeness, the fullness of God. But there's no denying the power of God, the grace of God, the glory of God, the perfection of God. It is. It is everything that we experience. It's from God. So if you don't align yourself with that which is true, guess what you're doing? You're corrupting your own mind. And I see a lot of people, particularly from my eyes, right? From my body, my life experience, I see a lot of people fighting me for their lies. And it's like, holy cows, man, what do you do with people who cannot see? What do you do with the blind and the confused and the hurt, the selfish and the prideful and the arrogant? What do you do? Well, you look at you and you ask yourself, where am I being prideful? Where am I being selfish? Where am I being arrogant? I'm not saying that's what you have to do. I'm saying that's what I have been doing. And I keep asking myself, and in asking myself, I'm seeking the truth, right? I'm going to the facts and I'm looking at the facts. What is the truth revealing to me? Because anything that is true, in my view, comes from God. And so for a long time in my past, I faced many accusations. My opinion, I faced and experienced quite a few injustices, and I've been bodily injured, and um, there's been damages in my life. And so throughout this time of my devotion to God, my seeking to align and to know the truth, I've had to ask myself, not had to, I've taken the opportunity to ask myself often, is this me, right? That I'm seeing in others, the arrogance, the accusations. I'm going to name names: Polly Boy, Snafu, Margot, Chemo, these people that are coming out of the woodwork, man. Is it me or is it them? Well, I know my natural state of being now is at peace. I mean, I don't keep track, but I know it's many times in the day that I remind myself, I choose heaven. I choose heaven right now, right here, right now. I choose heaven because the body will not go where the mind does not travel. And so I take my mind with joy, with appreciation. I take my mind into the heavenly realms because I know in the heavenly realms there's no battles, there's no fears, there's no worries, there's no problems. And when I take my mind and I travel to the heavens, I can imagine the angels singing the glory of our Creator because they're not trapped in this form. They're not trapped here in the hellish world that mankind has designed and enabled. You, brothers and sisters, all of us, these religions, these political parties, these economic ideas, they're just stuff people imagined and taught you to imagine and taught you to believe in. But the only thing that matters is the truth. And the truth is my God. I don't claim to know the totality of the truth, but I rejoice and I celebrate as often as I can about the truth God allows me to discover. And if you can find that within yourself, some joy and appreciation for the truth and the breath that you live today, you will find healing. Can't guarantee it, right? Because everyone's on their own path and purpose, but it just, you follow the logic. Follow follow the logic. That's what I did. And this is why I have faith and hope that my efforts will work out, meaning my efforts to show myself online each day that there is value because we all possess logic. We all possess the ability to reason. Now, different people have developed those abilities to different levels. I've been practicing my ability to calm myself so that my mind can clear, and then I can objectively reason and objectively observe the facts and reason, within a reasonable ability. We can all understand each other if we try. The best way to understand someone is to love them, to accept them, even if it's someone you don't like. If you can find something in your heart to align yourself with another being, another person, another part of this experience in time, if you can find in yourself, in your heart, the willingness to accept the situation, the memory, the experience, the reality, whatever it is, if you can open your heart to accept it, then you can consider it from a different perspective, a closer perspective, instead of like arm's length, through the judgment and the battles. Nothing can be considered that is not accepted. Have you accepted God? Have you considered God in your life? When was the last time? When was the last time you sought to reach the truth about your personal relationship with who you are, the world you live in, and the greater powers that are? And this describes my experience, to be honest. I mean, there's been characters coming out testifying against me as though they know me, and people who don't know me want to talk about me as though they know me. But my reality is these people that are talking about me, if you're hearing about Jack from others, thank you for being here, right? Trying to find out what is real about Jack. But these people talking about me, they have no part in my life. None. They're in their heads. So, what I've learned for myself in this world, I used to feel small and isolated and alone, even when I was in public. Even when I was surrounded with others, I felt small and isolated and alone. Why? Because I felt detached from the world. And I didn't realize how detached from the world I was living till I started facing some of my problems, right? My drinking, my stinking thinking, those patterns, until I realized what I was doing to myself. I didn't realize my intimate connection with the entire world. You have an infinite connection to the entire world. Not just the entire world of today, but the entire history of the world is a part of you. And it's me. There's no separation from me and you. There's no separation from anyone who was or anyone who will ever be here on earth. We are all united. We're all in this life experience together. So if that's true, if you can follow that logic and reasoning and you can accept that as a fact or a truth for you, then maybe you can consider, what does that mean if I'm tied to everyone in this world, here and the past and the future? If I'm connected to everyone and everything, please, if you can accept those things and you can consider those ideas, please join me. Join my efforts to find a way. Let's be a voice, a large voice. Let's unite together as a single voice for the world to know that people care. People care about the end of wars. People care about the end of corruption. People care. Let's start proving that people care. Can you? Can you care? I do. And you know what? I'm feeling at peace. I've not been giving a lot of attention to the chat. Sincerely, thank you to all who have joined in. Go ahead and drop the link, and we'll see where this day may go for a little bit. But the message I had within myself, again, waking up each morning, it's my spirit, or it's my memory, or maybe it's my just the way I've programmed myself with these thought patterns. But when I awaken each day, it's been a reminder. Love is the way, Jack. Love is your way. And today, it's about healing. See, the truth brings us healing. I've mentioned this before, and earlier I talked about the physical, mental, emotional aspects of us. The truth to heal our mind, that's the only way to overcome confusion or deception, is the willingness to humble yourself. And it's not as hard as it sounds. It really isn't. You just detach yourself from these beliefs that we've become accustomed to long enough to consider an alternative view. I think it's making sense. Hey, welcome, Hank. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, but I read in the chat from Moose that Officer Snafu has returned to his maker. So peace and blessings to Snafu.
I saw that. I thought I saw that too, but I was receiving texts from Snafu right before I started.
Interesting.
He claims to have another witness to bring forth someone who's allegedly a friend or family of mine who, you know, how do these people claim to know someone when they spend no time with them?
Well, we just had an intervention for Pussy Paul on Moose's channel, so he's pretty much a presuppositional apologist. So instead of arguing the way normal precepts do, he argues from the standpoint that he's the god of all media and that he's right about everything.
I actually, that was part of what gave me encouragement today, honestly, Hank, was people calling him out on the ignorance. There's so many people like this, and they've created echo chambers for themselves, right? That's why Paul is the way he is. He's got these yes boys who he won't recognize it as that, but echo chambers, man.
Yes, and he doesn't like me because I was the one. Well, he has a line of guys, but I was one of the one guys in the room who said no to him, and so are you, and so is Wizard, and so was a football player. And,
Yeah. I pointed it out a long time ago. It's self sabotage.
yeah, and so is O'Shea. I mean, it's a very long line of people if you think about it.
Yes. Well, and this is what I've been hoping to do, honestly. I've been blessed. God allowed me to learn and discover a lot of things about the mind, the body, the spirit, and I have had time and opportunity to work on healing myself. I am trying to bring healing, to share healing, because nothing heals us better. Here, all of these disagreements, all of the wars, all of the conflicts, well, that's what they are. They're disagreements. All disagreements that can be imagined, they can also be reconciled. It just requires a willingness to seek the truth, seek to reach the truth. To continue with that, though, the idea of seeking healing. It can be so simple, yet at the same time, the inner will want to fight. The path to healing, the renewing of the mind. That's where we heal ourselves, when we allow our mind to renew. And the way to allow our mind to renew is to convince ourselves to let go. It's the selfishness that's designed within us. It wants us to, well, the flesh opposes the spirit, and the spirit opposes the flesh. Hey, Viru, you've never met me, not to my knowledge. So for you to claim that you not only know the future, but that you know my character enough to predict, and your willingness to compare us, well, you're not accurate, Viru.
This is the first time I saw them in the chat, even.
Yeah. It's fascinating, but this is what I mean. So many people who have no experience, no direct experience with me, want to publicly claim nonsense. And it's like, well, this is actually what I was thinking. I know how this can be taken, right? But this is my life. I've had to look at others, what are they doing? Is this me? Are they right? Or are they just projecting? And then I always look, how am I doing this with God? Am I doing this with God? Am I speaking about God and not actually spending time with Him? Nope. I spend a lot of time. A lot of my time and attention goes to God. So I know I am not doing that. Many people of the religions, they do. They talk about God. I see many Christians being bitter and egoic, and they talk about God as though they know God, but they're clearly not living with God in their life. And this is what God's showing me. This is the ways of the world. This is what has driven people apart. Go ahead, Hank. Were you had some thoughts?
Well, personally, I'm agnostic about it, but I have my own preferences. We these wars are just stupid. Why are we wasting our time and money with them?
That's just it. I really have very little patience or desire to continue engaging a lot of the personalities that I've met here, because the reality is the personalities who want to argue against me here, they don't have the power to do anything in the world. That's why they're fighting against me. They want me to feel powerless just like them. But the reality is there are men and women right now today who are in Congress, who are in positions of authority and influence, the ability to direct others, the ability to get the attention of others. I want to speak to those people who have some authority. Because another part of this, I know there's a lot of doubts, but if people would consider the why do I want to try and speak with the people of Congress? Even if people around me don't believe it would do any good, the why is that I believe wars can end. And personally, I think that's a pretty worthy goal. So if we could find a way to bring healing to this world, what could we do?
So my question is: do you want to do it 1-to-1, or do you want to have a State of the Union like event? How do you want it?
I would love, as a citizen, a citizen who served the military, I'd love to be given an opportunity similar to what they gave to the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu recently. So kind of a State of the Union type of thing. But if I could get the attention of a couple of people in Congress to start with, someone who might be open to the idea of encouraging more honor, more integrity from the other people in government. Because, guys, the signs of this world are so clear. The number of details and perspectives. Sometimes I do a poor job of explaining things. I realize that. And I don't have graphics and I don't have the video clips and stuff set up to share what I'm talking about. But here, take where we are right now, just online, YouTube. YouTube, the online experience. These are ideas that were pointed out in something I saw earlier, but the marketplace of today, it's no longer in the town square, it's online, right? And these huge corporations that are controlling the online, they're siphoning the wealth and instituting greater control on the masses. So if we want to break this and change it, I think it's time for us to face the facts. These corporations and the state systems have become beasts that need to be gotten under control, because it's the entire international banking system is supported and really protected by the American way. It's all legislative nonsense, and it truly is. There has been the symbolism in the world is apparent. There are dark practices in the spiritual realm. Some of these people who have risen to power, they use the information that serves them the best, as do we all. But if we don't look to what is best for the all, we end up with our narrow focus. And Stephen, I see you in the back. You're not welcome here. So the sanity machine actually has the nerve to show up again.
Sorry, Stephen, you're not as good at cupcaking as I am.
No, but I found it interesting. If I'm not mistaken, that was something I observed yesterday. When I show up at Paul's stream, he wants to make me look, he doesn't want me to enjoy it. It always turns into a nonsense. Not always. Most times it turns into a pretty unpleasant experience for me. But he sure seemed to enable and welcome old Steven there yesterday to talk shit about Jack. So the fact
Give it 2 more weeks. They'll be at each other's throats. Give it 2 more weeks. Mark my words. 2 more weeks. They'll be at each other's throats. They'll be tired of each other by then. Clip this for me. Let's name the date. 2024 08 27th. It's August 27th 2024. 2 weeks. They'll be at each other's throats. Clip this. Mock me if I'm wrong.
I agree. Paul has no loyalty. That's something I was considering earlier today. Justin, I kind of disagree. It's maybe I'm not understanding your context of what you're saying, but it's whatever Jack makes it. I enjoy the flow you create with Paul. I've learned a lot from you both. Well, this is the problem. It's not what Jack makes it. No, it's what Paul allows. He's always fighting for this power and control. And frankly, I'm kind of done. I've said it. Uh, I'm done with Paul
Yeah,
until he shows an actual change in his behavior. I want nothing to do with his sickness anymore.
you hear that, Paul? You win, Paul. We're just
Yep.
gonna we're just going to stumble and mumble and stumble and or lose or failure them and continue with what we're gonna do, which is absolutely not as good as what you're gonna do, whatever it is.
Yeah. This is it. I mean, he wins. He's convinced himself that I have nothing to offer, so he's right. I have absolutely nothing to offer him anymore.
Yes, and neither does anyone else. No, nope, not me, not demolished. Pretty much, if you're not Pussy Paul himself, you're a loser. You win, Paul.
Here. He'll learn. We will all learn. Welcome, Richard. Blessings to you, brother. Good to see you.
Blessings to you. Peace and respect to you all.
It's been another interesting day, another interesting 24 hours for the Talcott one for me. When you showed up, we'd kind of stepped off topic and we were getting into, well, I guess gossiping, talking about others who aren't here, right?
Well, he's
Anything
watching. He's
edifying
gonna
happen?
watch us. Well, I wouldn't say he's not here because we know for certain he's lurking, he's watching, and if he's not, he'll comment over this later. So we'll be here by the end of the day.
Possibly. What were you saying, Richard?
Anything progressive or edifying happen?
In my opinion, yes. I participated on a different panel earlier today, and one of the public, one of my public critics was, in my opinion, politely called out on his arrogance and behavior. So, hey, different though, because Richard, I'm sure you're on with this. I'm waking up in the morning with thoughts which are loving and, in my mind, for purpose. The thoughts this morning were sincere. It's time for healing. And I didn't know what that meant exactly, but that's what I'm trying to focus on. Healing from a
Healing for whom?
spiritual aspect. Pardon, go ahead.
Healing for whom?
For the world. The reconciliation of divisions, bringing unity to the divided. That's, in my mind, what healing is.
Well, all we'd have to do to accomplish that, I think, is to get people to think rationally and logically and accept truths that are. That's all. Should be a
That's
piece of cake.
all. Well, you're right. It is that simple. And the reminder I shared earlier, no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. So it should be just as simple as using logic and reasoning. But I said this yesterday. It seems to take a miracle for people's minds to change. And if I'm honest about my past, when I stopped drinking, that was a miracle for me.
Well, I once heard it said, good luck, mom and dad, because you're up against Madonna. That is to say, it's hard, when people are, on social media and entertainment and things like this, they're going to hear irrational things, and they're going to hear it 1,000 times for every rational thing that they hear. And if a person can't sort that out, well, then the propaganda wins.
And that's, well, you're well observed. The propaganda has been winning.
Oh, yes.
And this is my view, is that this propaganda only has power. Any ideas, really, they only have power that we give and that others around us will confirm. Because we are social creatures, we rely on the feedback of others. And when people start creating and living in these echo chambers where they're just reinforcing each other's opinions, and it's all just co-lived and shared propaganda, well, that's the world we're living in, the whole world.
Yeah. For anyone and everyone who's out there is a direct correlation between success and knowledge of reality. And because of that direct correlation, if you're having less success, it's because you're not accepting some realities. So if you should be able to judge yourself on how successful you are at accepting truths by how happy you are and how often things work for you. If you find yourself often frustrated and failing, it could be there's some truth in that you just have not accepted.
Brother, that's what I've been trying to figure out for me. Because my world, my material results, yeah, shows me a failure. I
Yep.
can't do anything on my own, but I know the solution for the world is for people to unite and try my damnedest. I don't know how to get anyone's attention from Spokane, from my past, at least kind attention.
Hold it. Yet just yesterday we had a guy on panel that met you in Spokane. So
Yes.
that's a false statement.
Okay. That exception does not prove my words untrue, because that exception, if I remember right, the last time Zach and I experienced each other in Spokane was around 2020. It's been several years ago. So, and this has been the part of my story. My faith in God grew, well, because if I didn't grow my faith, I was going to go insane. But my life experience showed me I don't control results. None of us do. All we control is our efforts and our directions and our intentions. And I know my intentions have been pure, and I have been seeking, what am I doing? What can I improve on to change the results? Well, Richard, that's where meeting people like you, Denizen, Based Oracle, you guys have been wonderful examples of compassionate communicators for me. That's what
I'm
I'm
just
trying
trying to imitate Christ.
Me too. And I know it would be a lot easier if people stopped trying to prove that I wasn't, you know. But there's a reason I'm my faith in God and the Almighty. That's the only thing I can count on anymore. The world has shown me that. So the only thing I have is my faith and me, what I can offer, what I can share. I trust there's a reason. There's a reason for today. There's a reason both of us are right here, and why everyone else is right there, tuned in and experiencing what we're experiencing.
Well, I don't think it's meant loosely or colloquially when the Christ says that an aspect of him is the truth. And that truth, as truth does, illuminates a way. And if you see that truth and it illuminates that way, you live in light. And that's reality, man. That's how it actually works. It's not real. I mean, it's put poetically, but it's not really just poetry. It's also true.
That's the amazing thing. The truth is true on many different levels. It's so magnificent. It's so mysterious. It's the power of life. I mean, the truth, what you said, the truth comes out of information, and we discern through the probabilities and our minds, and so
Mm-hmm.
through discerning and sifting through information, we discover aspects of the truth. But the truth is the path to wisdom. If it's not true, we believe in lies, and if we believe in lies, well, we are corrupted. So to live the light of truth, the way of Christ, it's naturally who we are. But the world doesn't want us to know who we are because we are powerful. And if people start realizing how powerful they are, well, the governments and the corporations, the wealthy, they won't be they won't be getting their selfish ways as much anymore.
Yeah, ultimately, the goal for me would be to introduce to those in power what is logical, not what is selfish. They're very familiar with that already. They have that.
Well, selfishness is the disease that has corrupted mankind. It's biblical. You know, it's the words from Christ are so true. They're so important for us to know. And just sorry to change this, but Chuck, I put you in timeout because I don't really, you can go find something else to do. If you're only going to come here and offer disagreements to what you hear me say, please find a better purpose for your life, Chuck. Um,
I'm not
that's
sure how
not
to
very,
read what Chuck wrote. I mean, I can actually read it two different ways. And for that matter, what you'd said, I could hear two different ways.
Mhm. This is the thing, though. The truth can be, it's got different perspectives, but what the egoic mind, the patterns that Jack has been getting to experience and see, these ego minds, they're constantly looking for disagreements. They want to show the world that Jack is wrong. Don't trust Jack. Don't listen to Jack. Everything he says is wrong. There's a whole bunch of these fools that have been, there's a whole bunch of these confused people who have been brought into my experience that despite my best efforts, I've been unable to get them to be willing to see the good in me. So this is what I think people are doing with God. I don't think people are really seeking to know the true goodness that God offers, that a relationship with God can bring forth. Why? Well, the world hasn't really understood what a true relationship with God can bring forth. And I'm not claiming to know that myself. All I know is that my inner state of being, despite the lack of, despite my continuing life circumstances and the situations I'm experiencing, I feel a peace within my heart that I never knew was possible. And that only happened once I sought to know God.
Well, that may be the very essence of God, depending on a person's definition of God.
I actually feel it is because I've come to trust that God is love. I mean, it's the source of love, the giver of love. and life, and the only way we can know love is through life. So if God is love, love isn't frightening. Love isn't manipulative. Love isn't controlling. Love doesn't expect obedience. Love, if we love God, if we love ourselves, if we love each other, we don't obey. We lovingly serve. We live with the desire to be good servants of love and life and all the wisdom that God allows us to find.
It's actually pretty interesting that if you read biblically, just for instance, not that I think that's necessarily exclusive, but if you read what is love in the Bible, it's a series of actions that are appropriate in the moment, using wisdom and discernment to decide what to do.
That is it. It's
It's not
there's so
about
many.
emotion. My point is, it's not about emotion.
Exactly. It's about good. I mean, I don't know how else do you describe it? But here, something I observed previously, the patterns within us, the devil and the Christ. It's contained. We've got the potentials of both within us. And the devil is the manipulative one, the controlling one, the one that wants to be right, the accuser, the opposer. All of those titles are true. And that's not what love is. Love isn't always about being right. Love is about being good. Because what is good is right. The ways of the world calls evil good. And good is often described as evil. Hello. we're 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 here to be good. And honestly, the more I've understood the design and different explanations of the false ego and the way our minds and spirit work, most of it came from my own self observation, but I found opportunities to hear other people explain these things. It's really simple, though. The way of Christ, we must humble ourselves in order to truly know love. In order to know the greater truth, we must become less significant in comparison to love or the truth. We must allow ourselves to become humbled so that we can feel the peace and feel the relationship. What I kind of perceive in myself is when I consciously say, okay, Jack, I choose heaven, the mind goes to God. I realize my insignificance, and I invite, okay, Jack, out of the way. Let's invite in the fullness of Christ to be with you. And sometimes in meditation, man, you can feel energies and you can feel tinglings and sensations. And, what is real? I don't know. God is real. I know that. I trust in that. I trust God is more real than we are. And that is the truth. God is more real than we are. I wonder often, what is God going to do with the future? What are we going to be allowed to experience, to discover? Richard, I can't stop it. I can, but I don't want to stop imagining what this world could be like without debts, without wars, without oppression, secrets, lies, human trafficking, chemicals in our air, chemicals in our food, chemicals in our water. What could we accomplish if the world chose to align with love? Because without
We could
love,
look in the past where it has happened in small pockets of societies, because it has happened. It's not impossible.
no, thank you. It's not impossible. It might take a miracle. It might take many miracles, but you know what? I think that's the whole game. I think that's the game of God. When we align with God, miracles become our birthrights, right? That's seems to be the story. The miracle of life, it's already been given to us. We experience it every day, but we don't really see it. We don't really notice it. We don't really appreciate it. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself with in the past with the assumption of I'm a part of this world. We're all kind of the same in different ways. But a world of love would not allow lies. Simple as that. Because love is honest. And that's why I'm confirmed. That's why how I point to love as God, because the love of God allows life. And through life, we are allowed to learn. And we can learn whatever we want. But the worldly ways taught us to learn what we were told and not to really seek the answers that bring us fulfillment, that bring us wholeness, bring us peace. It can be scary to venture out on your own to take on and listen to beliefs that are different than yours. It can feel scary because, especially when the inner consciousness starts realizing, oh shit, Jack, you were wrong. You were wrong about politics. You were wrong about economics. Jack, you were wrong about God. I was. By admitting when we're wrong, that's where we get to learn. I look forward to when some of these people have been so public against me, when they humble themselves to the fact and realize they've been wrong. But this is God's game, and I have full faith in that. Thoughts, Richard? What are you feeling?
Ooh, I separate those two things. No, I think feelings are highly important as a secondary means of judging whether or not a thing is true, but before that, logic.
I'm thinking that through because the separation between mind and heart, thoughts and feelings, I think that's where we get divided and confused at. But there's no denying what you said, the power of logic and reasoning. Ah, actually, this is the observation I have for myself in the spiritual sense. God is the truth. Jesus, the Son of God, the heart of God, it's love. To know the Father, you must know the way of love. To know the truth, you must have love lead you. Otherwise, you're going to lead yourself into darkness. And that's why these messages from the Bible, they are many people don't understand, just like I didn't understand in the past. And I don't claim to have a perfect understanding today. Don't get me wrong. But
Well,
I,
that gives us something to look forward to in the future, then, doesn't it?
that's right. Well, this was the inspiration I got from some of the other spiritual teachers, some of their writings, there is such a joy. I mean, when you turn to God, and I heard this from others, it's been my own personal experience as well. But as we turn to God and seek more time, more relationship, more knowing, we grow our intimacy with God in our education and our thoughts and our practices. There are new layers of joy and bliss. It doesn't get old. It does not get old. It gets greater and greater and greater. And yet at the same time, through the power of our mind, if we allow the worry and the opinions to creep in, my personal experience, despite the bliss and the joy, the tears of gratitude and joy and love just flowing down my face so many times. Despite that, when those damn thoughts and opinions, the stinking thinking starts in, it's really easy to lose it. I don't know. I look forward to what the future brings because I am convinced that this time of history, what we are living through, God's given us free will for a reason. What are we going to choose? What are we going to choose?
Well, we're going to choose from options we have. I can promise you that.
Yes. Options we have. The options we have are the ideas we find and we latch onto. When we're in a negative state of energy and our patterns of fight, we don't latch on to good ideas. We find old ideas of competition.
Yeah, we've actually, mapped certain people's brains and then forced them into a fight or flight situation. You can watch the logic circuits turn off. They become inactive. Pretty interesting stuff.
It really is. And so with that awareness, you can feel it. I can feel it. I have felt it in the past where the mind I have lost logic and reasoning because just get reactive. But if we can have the awareness within ourselves, paying attention to the state of our mind and our inner being, if we can pay attention to it, I mean, we can't control anything we don't know. And if we're not paying attention to something, we're sure as heck not going to control it. But if we pay attention to our inner state, noticing the mind starts to get a little frantic, that's where we can practice the self-control. And admittedly, I'm still working on this myself. But
well, some of what you said right there is very difficult to accomplish, and here's why. If you've ever heard this rationality, okay, there's the things that you know, and you know that you know them. There's the things that you know of, and you know that you don't know them. One of those might be, I'll choose something highly unusual, heart replacement surgery. How does someone perform that? I don't know. It looks like it would be complicated and difficult and timely and need lots of machines and help and support. And I don't know. But here's the hard part. I could go and learn. I could go and read, maybe watch a YouTube video, that has an actual heart replacement surgery and watch the process. And if someone does a really good job, I might know how to do it. I study hard enough. But I'm still probably not going to attempt it. But just the same, here's the hard part. Finding the unknown unknown. There's the rub right there. I don't even know that it exists, so I can go and find it out.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? I say to you, Jack, this is my present situation. This is what I'm experiencing. These are the troubles and successes that I'm having in my life right now. And I ask you, what other experiences have you had that you think perhaps I have not had that you could share with me, and those things could teach me? And there I have another source outside of self to discover the unknown unknown. Now here's another difficulty in human beings, and it has a lot to do with propaganda and personal bias and comfort levels and things we don't like. Remember, just changed his lower moniker, his secondary moniker, to No Nothing, which is interesting. We need to be emotionally compelled to become motivated. That's just in our nature. If we don't see the use of a thing, if we don't see the value of it, we're not going to even go and look. So we don't need to just tell each other about the unknown unknown, but also tell each other why it's important that the other one know it.
Everything you said, so true, brother. It's the heart must want, the heart will lead us. If someone doesn't want to know something, if they don't see the value in it, why waste the energy, right? And people will push things away. But it takes someone to be humble to start considering, what do I not know? Right? Where is the limit? Where is the boundary of my known versus unknown? And what lies beyond what I don't know? The more I started considering that, the more I discovered some amazing people who've dedicated their lives to studying things that I never even thought of. The example, just some of the studies and observations regarding the neurosciences, the electrical and magnetic systems of our bodies. There's so much that we can learn, and all of these things affect who we are, how we are. The amount of knowledge can be overwhelming, but we were born into a world, especially here in America. Obedience has been conditioned. Learn what you're told, and you're told what is right and who is wrong.
Well, I'm going to put my feet on the console and crawl over the seats and sit in the back seat for a while, and just try to give Remember a little bit of space, because I do have a tendency to rattle on a bit and opine a bit over these things, but I want to actually give him some respect as well.
Respect, appreciate it.
How you doing, Jack?
I'm truly feeling blessed. I am.
How you doing, Demolished?
I am better than I deserve.
Well, glad to be here with you guys. Um, is a topic of interest. And
Sorry.
oh, sorry, always a topic of interest. Um, I'm more of a listener. I've uh, I've learned it's better to listen for now, at least.
Appreciate that. Listening is a skill I believe all of us can continue to develop and practice. Matter of fact, that is the way to heal from the patterns of the ego. When I'm pointing at the patterns of the ego, I'm talking about the overactive mind, the mind that wants to jump to conclusions and make assumptions and go into the realm of not known, but with the arrogance that it does. To break free of the old ways of our ego, we really want to unlearn unlearn the reactions. Maybe that's the right thing.
Dunning-Kruger effect. We have a little bit of success and we think that we're brilliant, and as soon as we think that we're brilliant, we stop learning.
Mm, yeah, that can happen. I am an example of the Dunning-Kruger effect, though, admittedly. But because when I first found this inspiration and the zeal and the faith, I know, I am confident I came across wrong, maybe a little know-it-all or whatever, a little too impassioned. But the thing is, I've continued growing, and I have learned to humble myself. I know nothing. And it feels good to know nothing, because then that means I can learn anything and everything. But with the Dunning-Kruger effect, I've been consistent. I'm saying the exact same things about ending wars, ending legal secrets, right? Within the self. Stop corrupting yourself with excuses and blame. Become honest and transparent. And let's do that for the whole world as well. I've been saying these things since 2018. My only guess is that God wanted me to improve. So I've been studying communication and human behavior and myself. And you know what? I set the goal for myself. Once I remembered how fun it is to learn, I'm curious to see how much I can learn before I die. That'd be amazing. I know we can all learn easier. We'll all have more time and abilities, more opportunities to learn when the world is not at war with itself. Just like just like my life showed for me and myself when I stopped being at war with the life I was living. I set myself free to learn and grow. So how do we share that? How do I paint this picture that what I'm offering is something that people might want to consider? How do I do a better job of that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know. I personally, and I'm only one person, but I think you do a great job in that arena.
Thank you.
I really do. As far as like giving personal testimony as to why these things are valuable, how it's changed your life for the better, and that it should apply to other people's lives and would change their lives for the better if they adopted that same line of thinking, thought train, attitude, however you want to say it. I would say you're quite good at that part of it, actually.
Thank
But
you.
I would critique you and say I think you should spend actually more time describing how that is done, how it is a person accepts those things as being valuable. And then, I mean, once they've accepted that they're valuable, showing, you know, the literal process of how a person can accomplish that.
I see what you're saying. And I agree.
It's a difficult thing to be all things to all persons. And a topic this broad and respectable, but also having some depth to it. All angles have to be hit in order for it to be successful. It's not good enough to say this person is guilty or innocent in whatever case, and say things like they've got, you know, a sow and 3 piglets, so you know they deserve to be, you know, on with their life and, you know, back to assuming their responsibilities about the farm, you know, or whatever. But if we don't talk about, you know, the lawyer and we don't become that lawyer to defend the position of the boar, that he can go back to his sow and piglets. Well, then we're kind of stuck in court. So how do you become the lawyer? And as for me, I need to work on becoming the more about the anecdotal testimony and giving people compelling reasons as to why they should consider the things that I'm saying. I'm very good at the logical argument, presenting syllogisms, etc., like that. I have a distinct skill for that. I think it's evident. I've been given a gift of God for doing just that thing, but telling people why it's important is difficult for me.
Interesting. I love that awareness.
I'm working on it.
Well, and that's why we get to choose the reasons we find for ourselves, but I'm trusting there's a reason our paths cross, and it may be what you shared. We each have different experiences that have developed different attributes, but your ability to communicate and use logic and reasoning with compassion, it's been a wonderful example for me.
I've been working on the compassion part. That's been a long time coming. Yeah.
It's still, I've recognized it. Compassion is still in my weakness area. It's something I'm working on. Not to make an excuse, but I haven't received much compassion from this world for quite a long time, it feels. So,
I don't know, Jack. I'm going to push back on that. I think you're actually very compassionate of people. However, I think the moments that you're referring to where you are unimpassioned, I could say it that way, are the times where you're deeply offended by something.
Yes.
Okay, so I think the correct question here is not how do you become more compassionate, because you're obviously already very compassionate in just the things you've said very recently in kindness toward me. I'm not saying you said them only of kindness, but you also believe they're true. But not only that, you bothered to say them. And that is compassion and empathy right there. So I don't think you're lacking empathy. I don't think that's it.
I'm finding offense still, which is when I find offense, when any of us find offense, it comes down to an internal lack of understanding or acceptance.
Of what?
Of the moment.
So this is going to sound slightly demeaning for people I've argued with in the past. Sorry to anyone who I've argued with in the past who hears me say what I'm about to say. It is impossible for the high school student to raise them up to raise themselves up immediately to the doctorate level. They just can't. That's why they don't have a doctorates. So what's necessarily true, like it or not, guys, what's necessarily true is the doctor has to speak at the high school level. That's what has to happen, because it cannot work the other way. So if you've been gifted, anyone who is listening now or ever hears this in the future, if you've been gifted with some kind of talent, or and be that artistic, be that mathematical, perhaps it's intellect or the applicable knowledge, or something like that. If you've been given any kind of gift, it is your job, it is your social responsibility as a fellow human being that you find ways to explain that to others, that you can share that gift with them and that they can develop it in themselves. This is what makes societies successful.
It is sharing the gifts and the empowering others with the gifts of wisdom and experience and the
Mhm.
talents.
Right. And we
I
do this automatically with children. We've been taught as adults to do this with children, to bring it down to a level that they can understand and yet keep the meat in it, keep the meaning in it, so it truly benefits the child. And when we have usually only offspring of ourselves, if we're not some kind of a public servant, a teacher or something like that, we already know how to do this. Here's the problem. We think of each other as responsible adults that are culpable for our actions, and that's forgetting that the people that you're interacting with did not have your experience, and whatever it is that you've experienced that has truly grown you has not necessarily grown them. And that very thing, the coming on to Jack Talcott's show to inquire of Jack Talcott, Jack, please tell me, what is my unknown unknown? We need to do that if we are to be prosperous.
Yeah. Well, this is another part though of our experience as we interact with each other. We don't always have the opportunity to say the things that we can say or to learn the things that we can learn. When we're bitter and confused, we lose opportunities. And there's an option that's been brought to me here in the back. I'm doing a better job of pushing people away, but for some reason, Margot has found her way back here today. Margot, is there a reason you're here?
Yes, Richard, I am in awe of your insight and what you've brought to the table today. You've done it incredibly well. And, I'm an educator and I've taught K through 12 and in college courses. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes we attempt to teach um, our youth things that they're not capable of even understanding yet. That's why we don't teach calculus at age 10 or 11. So I want to
Right.
thank you for that.
Well, thank you for saying it. I like that you said it.
Has anybody said that kids teach yet?
I'll say it right now. I learn as much, if not more, from my students than I teach them. And I have to learn from them to be able to teach them, because I have to know where their baseline is. I have to know something about what they know, or I don't know where to start.
Right. That's why I come into these shows, and when people ask me what I'm doing, I say I'm creating a map of you.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of people put down education right now, but one thing that education is doing right is we're becoming a data driven institution. We test our students not to what they've learned, but what they already know. So we know where to start and what to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see someone put in the chat that they've removed cursive writing from the schools. They have not. They don't. It is not part of
The
many of the
education
state's
system's part of the problem, though. You're not able to admit that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you able to admit that the education system
Margot, could I
specifically
comment on that
is
before you?
enabling
Enable. Well,
is enabling debauchery?
If I could, even before you comment on that, Margot,
yes.
remember, I want to say something about human nature, because I'm certain you didn't mean it this way, but it could be taken this way. When a person says agree with, they ask, if I say, hey, Jack, do you agree with the following? Jack's going to consider self when I do that, and he's going to answer appropriately.
Yo, why wouldn't you just let her? Why wouldn't you just let her answer? Why are you doing this whole cover thing?
Because I think you owe her a deep apology.
Well, then why
Well,
don't you just say that instead of making it this big drama thing? This ain't
It's
fucking
not
days of our lives.
okay. Well, I don't think I'm being dramatic, but if I could just
Fuck,
finish real quick,
fuck you,
remember?
bro.
wait, well,
I'm
Well,
very
there you
happy
have
he
it.
left. His negative vibe was
well,
Well, let me
not
do
what
it for
Richard
everyone
is
else, which
definitely.
was part of my point, is that he was giving off a negative vibe because he
Yes.
used the word admit, which is an
Yes.
accusation, which puts a person on the defensive. And are you really going to get the answer you want when you've just put a person on the defensive? It's just bad tactics.
Well, how I was going to respond is to say that the education, it is a system, and all systems are flawed.
Yeah.
right.
And you will find what you go to look for in the education system, the good, the bad, and or the ugly.
Can I jump in here?
I was kind of talking to Richard, but if
I
you
don't,
have
I don't
something
really
to,
care. I know, Margot, but I'm asking politely because what you said is true. And it applies, Margot, not just with systems, but with people. You're going to find what you're looking for, just like you know.
are
And
you are
what I
you are you
and what
trying to
I'd
put
like,
yourself into this conversation?
Margot,
If I was
Margot, see, Richard, what you may not have recognized, and I did see it from Brown's Boy, whether it was intentional or not, I perceived his question. Margot has been a hostile individual towards me in my experience for over 6 years now. And so she brought up some things about the school, and she wants to point out that in school, people are tested on what they've learned. Life doesn't work that way. Life brings us the tests, and the lessons are learned during the experience. And Margot, you've been testing me for far too long. I've learned a lot of lessons from you. And one of the lessons I've learned is I don't want you in around me, not until you change your tune. So I didn't mean to interrupt the conversation, but
may I correct something that I heard? I did not say that students are tested on what they've learned. We try to determine what they already know, so we know where a baseline can be set. And just like Richard was saying, you know, I want to know what you don't know. That is what one of the attempts of the current school system is.
okay,
Would
so
you agree with that, Richard?
So far, yes.
so
I will
Margot,
preface
you
this with
defended the school.
I will preface this. I'm giving a speech here in about
You know what? I'm done with Margot. Margot, please go somewhere else. I asked her what she was here for. She offered her compliments to Richard. I appreciated that. I agreed with her. But Margot needs some help. She doesn't know what is real. Not in my personal experience. She thinks as a professional, as an educator, that she should be running around publicly slandering a man like me who talks about God, who talks about trying to create a better world, talks about, maybe a possibility of ending wars and bringing reforms.
Okay, Jack. I want to talk about love with you
Please.
because I think you've been giving a really good message of love, and I think that's highly, highly important. But I see an oversight here. I see a blind spot, if you would.
Okay.
If you would. Okay, thank you.
Please.
And I say this in brotherly love, not to demean you. I just want to point this out, that this seems evident to me from where I stand right now. And I stand in a strange vantage point, being not in the situation. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay. You have had now 6 years. Is that correct? You just said that Margot has been asserting things publicly about you on your channel and otherwise. Yeah. And because of that 6-year experience, and that it has been, even to this very moment, consistent. Her view has been consistent, right? That she has this opinion about you, and she expects you to never change, right? Now, simultaneously, you believe that you have changed from the person that she first met, yes, and that because of that change in you, she should reconsider her position. Yes?
If I can offer a correction in one aspect,
Go ahead.
she's been consistent only in her opposition to me.
Oh, yeah. I meant in negativity.
Changes her story, moves the goal line, constantly imagining lies. So she's been consistent in her opposition to me, but
I should have said consistently negative.
okay.
Because that's all that I know. Right? I don't know beyond that. Okay.
That's all I've
all right.
seen from her.
Now, simultaneously, this is the same problem that you're having with, and at any time say, Richard, shut up and I will, because this is kind of personal.
Please,
okay.
Please.
I'm not trying to dig into someone's heart. I'm just making observations from what I know right now. Okay.
I appreciate it.
That same kind of forgiveness is precisely what you wish of your offspring and your ex. Yes? Same. Okay. Here's the pushback. Here's the blind spot. You're not giving it to Margot.
Interesting. The fact that I brought her up here.
It was a chance, but I don't know how much of a chance it was, really, Jack.
Well, it was a chance. She chose to disrespect me, repeating the patterns of selfish, prideful arrogance. She showed that to me again today. And I started out patient, polite, willing to give her a chance. But Richard, what you said is true. I'm seeking forgiveness from anyone from my past. People have pushed me away and won't even have a conversation with me. And
yeah.
Again, my faith is in God. So what is God showing to me? Well, this is what mankind has done with God. They've pushed God away. Many, not all. Many people have pushed God away and don't even give God a chance. They think they've got God all figured out because their religion told them, their book told them. Well,
right.
If I'm right, Richard, this live without fear. See, it's my view that our Creator, the Father of creation, the source of all wisdom and intelligence, it controls the direction of mankind through the knowledge, right? We get the freedom to choose, but it's God that allows all ideas, all moments to be recognized. So I've humbled myself to the truth of God, and I suspect, if I give God all credit for all things, well, God gave me this, live without fear, inspired by the teachings of Jesus, by the example of Jesus. God allowed me to learn this, live this, so that I could learn this, love.
Yes.
Well, if this is real, my theory about me and the life I've been living is that God has created me into an advocate for the truth. I'm a follower of Jesus, and I'm inviting anyone who hears my words to take these ideas for yourself, to become a follower of Jesus, become an advocate for the truth, become someone who cares about fairness and justice and what is right. It's really that simple. So if I'm right, God planted these ideas in my mind and my heart. I chose to accept them. I chose to believe them. But if this is real, why not? Why couldn't God take someone out of the blue and have them with the idea to get in front of Congress, get in front of the UN, point out the evidence that proves, despite the opinions, despite the beliefs, wars can end. And not only can wars end, but wars should end. And that's not Jack's opinion, that's based on facts. The truth shows wars should end. Simple as that. God is the truth. So God has shown wars should end. So why so many egoic people are coming into my life to repeatedly try to disparage me publicly, convincing others to stay away from me? I mean, that's literally what Margot has done. Part of the reason my friends and family won't give me a chance is because people like Margot have been in their ears saying, oh, stay away from Jack. He did this, he did that. If I am a follower of Christ, God has brought me a lot of demons and devils to face. They appear nice. They appear like educators and counselors.
Well, I have to say I'm at the limit of my wave cups of knowledge, and I really can't say anything more than I already have.
Richard, I appreciate you. Everything you offered. Thank you.
I mean it in love.
I know. And that's why
Okay.
I mean, thank you.
You're welcome.
People offer a lot of opinions. And opinions without love, man.
Oh, one further thing I would suggest, and it would be just a suggestion and nothing more than that. I know that it's a truism that hurt people hurt people. That's just the way it is. You can always tell someone who's had a good life and had a good friend circle and good support, because they tend to think things in the opposite direction. They tend to think that everyone is honest and everyone's fundamentally intelligent and everyone's, all the good stuff, because they themselves live in that good space and they see no reason why anyone wouldn't, and why anyone wouldn't have a good family support structure, etc., a good education. So they tend to look at it the exact opposite way. But hurt people hurting people, that kind of repetitive behavior is, I believe, some kind of a self-defense mechanism and a survival technique. And I'm just suggesting, because I've seen people do this with me, that they go too far on purpose to test me, to see how I will react, and they don't even genuinely mean it. And I wonder if that's a possibility. I'm not saying it is true. I'm just saying it's possible.
Well, I would suggest that what you presume is true. I would confirm that, because this is the thing that I've been learning. Despite, here's the frustrating part too, right? Some of these characters like Paul and others, they want to publicly diminish me. Well, the thing is despite their arrogance, I know for a fact I can help someone. If someone's dealing with the disease of alcoholism or addiction or depression, or, they just can't get comfortable in their own skin, I know God has allowed me to discover many different paths to healing, many different modalities for me to share. So if people can get past the confusion, right? And if these people would back off, Margot, Snafu, Paul, I mean, I don't know what I've done to attract these people. They don't know me. I can help people. I know I can. And I've had a theory that might be why God brought me these hurt people, Snafu and Margot and Paul. But on my own, they have no respect for me. Therefore, they have no willingness to even consider what I'm saying. That's their foolishness.
I would still say that if you are right, and you could be, I don't know, but if you are right, it's your job to meet them where they are. I know that's huge, difficult. I know.
I agree with you to some aspect. I won't disagree. You're absolutely right. For communication to happen, we've got to meet people where they are. They have to have a feeling of safety within themselves. I can't force anyone to feel safe. I can't force anyone to listen. The one idea I've had has not actually been tried, because the one idea I have is people cooperating to help me reason with some of these accusers. I'm not bringing it up to complain, but this is my unique experience that I am having. I don't have a fucking choice but to live my life as me. I lost my career, my family, my reputation. All of this stuff is gone. And I've never actually had a fair chance to defend myself, to face my accusers with the purpose of resolve.
Right.
I've been facing accusations and punishments, and then people want to say I'm not accepting accountability. And I'm like, hello, I'm so far, I'm the only one who's accepted accountability for what's happened with me. And what happened with me was not my choice. I didn't choose for people to shove me away. And I never harmed anyone. And this is the thing, do no harm. When these people are coming up publicly to offer character assassinations, I'm trying to understand what they think they're doing. I don't know, man. Hey, this life is a mystery wrapped in a mystery, and we are all enigmas becoming realized and discovered. I think maybe we should wrap it up, Richard.
It's been a joy. Thanks for letting me on your show, Jack.
You are a true pleasure, and like I said, a wonderful example for me, and I genuinely appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Jack. Have a lovely evening. Believe this, people. You are loved, no matter how hurt you've been. Peace.
Hey, blessings, Richard. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, all who joined the panel, all who joined the chat, tuning in at a later time, or maybe you're watching and restreaming and having a good time. However you find your way into this experience, please receive my appreciation. Even though I may come across as short, it may seem like I'm not grateful. I do realize the truth. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. So thank you for being a part of my journey. I do appreciate that. I welcome and yeah, share some love. And if it's not with me, share some love with the man or woman in the mirror. Give them a smile, give them a pat on the back, let them some reassurance. You are okay. So is everyone else. We're all okay at varying degrees, but we all have the opportunity to become greater, to become better. And the way we become greater, the way we become better, it's through honesty. Honesty is the key. If we're not humble to the truth, We're prideful, we're arrogant, and God will allow those who do not know the truth, those who do not love the truth, they will fall in love with their delusions. I'm evidence of those words too. I spent many years in love with my delusions. I see the world today is filled with people who love their delusions. Brothers and sisters, the truth is true. Doesn't matter what we think about it. But it is important that we do think about what is true. And what do I not yet know to know that this is true? I don't know. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Sincerely, once again, brothers and sisters, I do appreciate everyone who joined. And till next time, choose love. Peace for everyone. And live without fear. God bless us all.